contact and shattered.
At some point, Chris locates what's called a dry bag.
Law enforcement had considered Laundrie the only person of interest in the murder of his fiancée, Gabby Petito.
Reference to a missing 4-year-old. The parents have called in and advised that the mother had went for a walk, came home, now they can't find her. They've been yelling for her. She's been gone for about 10 minutes now.
Turn it over to another agency. Let's get some help.
Hello? God. Airbags are going on.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here for another ATS live stream. We're going to go over the Kiely Rodni death investigation. Right now, we still do not have a cause and manner of death given to us by law enforcement. They're telling the public that they will give us everything we need to know by November 1st. So it's just been a big rabbit hole for all of us who have started following this case when she was a missing person and who just really, are attached to finding out what really happened to this 16-year-old. So I just appreciate you all being here. And thank you so much to the moderators, and just good morning to everybody. Hi, Mike, Florida Bass Fishing. I hope you have a safe trip. Melmac, it's good to see you guys. And so I usually like to go for like an hour, hour and a half. I had a little bit of a rough night with my 20-month-old. I think she has COVID pretty much. She's been not herself since Tuesday, and it's just been obviously exhausting, her father and I. So I set the live stream, and then we had a rough night and I almost canceled, but she's sleeping right now. And you guys know she kind of like sleeps and does like independent play while we go live in the morning. So I might have to end it though if she's like not feeling good and she's kind of fussy. So in case I kind of abruptly end things, that's what's going on. So let me just pick up the speed still and get through everything that I want to go over with you guys. If I'm not talking to chat very much today, it's just because I just want to get this out with you guys before she gets up. And then of course my day will consist of my mom job, which is my number one job, as you guys know. But as you guys seen, this article was released yesterday. It was actually re-edited in the evening. And what I've done is just pre-recorded myself reading the important parts. It's a very long article. I recommend you guys read it all. I'll link it in the description box. But I'm just wanting to pull out just the things that I think are important for the live stream today. So today we're actually just going to be talking about the roadside assistance guy, tow truck guy, Nick, whatever you guys want to call him. We're going to be talking about that little interaction today. And, it's pretty much, it's been a little bit of a wrench in the case, or a wrench in my timeline, I guess, hearing the roadside assistant guy's account. So it's just kind of been all over my mind, and I just want to lay it out with you guys and talk through it with you guys because it's interesting. And it definitely makes it seem like, could she have been alive after the party? So, it's just a wide range of timeline of what we have going on now, because we have to keep in consideration that his eyewitness account may be correct. Again, I don't really put too much faith in eyewitness accounts. Are usually wrong. They're not really reliable. But it's noteworthy. It is noteworthy. And obviously we know that law enforcement knows who's on that video. They know everything they need to know. We're, of course, on the outside curious and just wondering, is that her? Is that not her? We've seen and met numerous other girls that look like Kiely, or that could be possibly mistaken as Kiely. So all that needs to be on the table as well. So I just want to go through your guys' thoughts about the roadside assistance guy. Today, we're going to act like it's 100% accurate. It's been confirmed that, this situation took place at least with her car. I'm not saying that it's 100% accurate that that's Kiely, but I think that today we're just going to go through and because at this point, I'm like, that article that I pulled up just now, it talks about the tow truck guy and that too. And I'm thinking it would be really stupid for Adventures with Purpose to put all this out there if it wasn't an accurate tip. You know what I mean? So I just really think that Nick, the roadside assistance guy, he saw something. I'm not saying it was Kiely. I'll tell you my thoughts after we go through this live stream on who I think it was or what I think might have been going on. So we're going to get into that. Also, there's just some other things I want to get your guys' opinion on. It does include referencing the PI SF investigates. And I know that a lot of people in this case, you subscribers have certain views on them and opinions on them, and that's totally fine. I welcome all opinions. I would just like to say today, I am going to reference his eyewitness, the PI's eyewitness account of the car being pulled out, and a little bit of the information that he found out when he was talking to the family. Now, you can take it for what you will. We've seen him in the footage, so we know for a fact that he was there. He was discussing things with the family, etc. So I think that some of the things he said is interesting. I'm not saying I buy 100% of what he's saying, and I don't get involved with the drama. So I don't know who's mad at who and all this stuff. I don't care about that. I just care about the information. And it is a fact that he was there during the recovery process. So with that being said, let me just pull up my pre-recorded information about that article, and we'll just get started into what we're going to deep dive into, which is the roadside assistance guy, aka Nick.
Oregon-based divers discovered the body of missing California teen Kiely Rodni in her car last month, submerged in a reservoir, and now the search team's lead investigator says he suspects foul play. It doesn't add up, Doug Bishop told Fox News Digital of the circumstances of 16-year-old Rodni's death. It reeks of foul play. Adventures with Purpose delivered the grim news to Rodni's family and a dose of embarrassment to law enforcement. To me, they're monetizing and commercializing missing people, said Tammy Waters of Sonar Search and Recovery.
Okay, so this Tammy Waters, who is in this article, I started reading the article for the first time while recording it. So I started reading her input and her opinion. I skip over all that because it's not really what's important with the live stream information I want to bring to you guys. But like I said, this whole interview will be linked in the description box, and Tammy's opinion about things will be seen in that. But we're not going to discuss Tammy's opinion on AWP because it's just not what this live stream is about. But it was an interesting whole article. And also, I would just like to say that, but while this is going off, I'm curious in chat. And if I didn't say hi to you, I see you guys, Kay Danielle, Anonymous, and Nikki Rex. Thank you guys for being here. I just want to know in chat before everything gets started, like press 1 if you believe Nick saw something, the tow truck guy, if you think he saw something relevant to this case. I'm not saying that you think it's Kiely, but do you at least think that that was her CRV?
Nonprofit she runs with her husband Dennis that assists law enforcement. On the day she went missing, Rodni sent her mother a text at 11:30 p.m. saying she'd be home in 45 minutes. At around 12:33 a.m., her phone pinged for the last time, and she and her Honda CRV vanished. The circumstances of Rodni's disappearance were so puzzling, investigators began probing the case as a possible abduction. Doug Bishop, a former tow truck driver turned sonar expert, and his colleague, scuba instructor Nick Wren, arrived with 2 videographers and a producer to film their search efforts. They combed Prosser Reservoir using sonar and located Rodni in the car in just 35 minutes. The small SUV was upside down under 14 feet of water and about 55 feet from the shore, with Rodni's remains in the cargo trunk area of the vehicle. She's in the back of the vehicle. She's in the driver's seat. It looks suspicious to me, Wren said. It was the first time Wren had located a body or a car underwater. It was so shocking because I couldn't believe we came in after all that time and found it, he told Fox News Digital. It was also a sad moment, a very emotional moment for all of us involved. No one wants to tell a parent, we found your daughter and she's not coming home. The young girl's father, Daniel Rodni, was also stunned. Right there, the dad can be heard asking on the documentary, how the F could they have missed it? They missed her because of their lack of expertise and communication, Doug Bishop told Fox News Digital of law enforcement search. Adventures with Purpose, which primarily operates off public donations, has solved 24 cold cases in 2 years, Bishop said. No matter where we solve a case, it creates drama, controversy, and embarrassment, he added. Doug Bishop is convinced that Kiely Rodni's tragic demise was no accident. For her vehicle to end up where it did, she would have had to take a sharp turn left onto a rough dirt path about a quarter mile from the main road. Witnesses said that she drank alcohol that night, but Bishop says she knew all that area well and still would not have accidentally plunged into the reservoir. Authorities haven't yet released her autopsy or toxicology reports. Even though the car's passenger side window was blown out and the rear driver's side window was halfway down, Kiely Rodni's remains were found in the cargo hatch. The vehicle would have sunk in seconds, according to Doug Bishop, and it would make no sense for her to scramble over the row of back seats into the hatch's confined space when there were 2 windows she could have climbed through. You're not going to crawl into the back and climb under a seat, he noted. In the documentary on the Rodni search, Doug Bishop interviewed a roadside assistance worker identified only as Nick. He said he responded to a call for a dead battery at Boca Lake north of Prosser Reservoir and that the help request came August 7th, more than 10 hours after Rodni's phone pinged for the last time, he said. Nick said he responded to the call and was met by a teen girl and another man and were both acting strangely and standing at an awkward distance from each other. It turned out the car didn't have a dead battery and that the gear shift was in neutral. The teen then repeatedly asked him how to connect her seatbelt. Nick said he later saw missing posters for Rodni and realized they were the same person, according to the documentary. Investigators later obtained surveillance footage of the bizarre interaction and should have been able to confirm whether the teen was Rodni or someone who looked like her, Doug said.
So this article that I had pulled up, so you just heard me say, that Doug said that they should have been able to identify her. But you're looking on the screen and it doesn't say that, right? So where is my camera? I always forget. So this is the one that I read, and see how it says it's underlined saying should have been able to identify her. The one on the screen was just a screenshot from when the article first came out in the morning or during, before they edited it. And it says that confirmed that the teen was either Rodni or someone who looked like her. But it doesn't make any sense for the original, because when you confirm something, there's not this or that. Like, it's just this. So I think that they edited it and added should have, like you see here, and that I read out loud, because that's what makes kind of more sense. So that's my opinion why it was edited. I think they realized that their wording was just it didn't make sense. Like, when you confirm something, it's either her or it's not it's her or somebody that looked like her. It's like we knew that when we called you for a statement that it was either Kiely or it could be somebody who looked like her. So then they put on here initially confirmed that the teen was either Rodni or someone who looked like her. So it doesn't really make sense. Do you guys see what I'm saying? That's my opinion why they edited it, because it just wasn't accurate to begin with. Like, they didn't have a confirmation because they just said it was either her or someone who looked like her. And that's not a confirmation. Do you understand what I'm saying, guys? So anyways, good morning, allegedly with Brittany J. Just wanted to say she has a really good channel. And if anyone isn't subscribed, check her out. She did really long, thorough live streams yesterday regarding AW, just everything in the case. And it was just really fascinating. I popped in for a little bit. So that actually helped me kind of work through this live stream, just brainstorming with her over there. So thank you so much, allegedly. And okay, so I read the article. We got that down. Hold on, guys. Okay. Let me just get the mouse perfect. And thank you guys so much for being here. Again, I really appreciate you all joining me every morning.
At the very beginning, when she went.
So this goes along with my roadside assistant theme right now because, you know, I'm just trying to iron out that whole thing, if it's accurate, if we can rely on it possibly being Kiely. Not that I'm saying I don't believe the roadside assistance guy, but right now I just want to know, like, could it be possibly Kiely? So that's what we're going to kind of work through right now. Yeah, exactly, Craig G. Confirm means no question. Exactly. So it wouldn't, for the initial article to say confirm that it was a teen or someone who looked like her. It's like, yeah, we knew that when we called and asked you for a statement. Like, who is it? That's not confirmed then, you know? So that's why I think they said they edited it, which it is what it is. All right, so just to kind of use context clues and figure out this whole roadside assistance guy, obviously we know that they had said that that was in the Boca area. So that's where my head's at. You know, was Kiely in the Boca area the next day after the party? So that's sort of where we're headed with this. And this is SF Investigates. We talked about him earlier, and I just want to reiterate, it doesn't matter like your personal feelings towards somebody, like when it comes to true crime, in my opinion. Like, I'm just trying to figure out who saw what and who knows what. And it is a fact that he spoke with the family and that he was there at the recovery process. So his information I do listen to, and I'm not saying I buy 100%, and I'm not saying I support any of these other people or creators and stuff, but I do think that everybody brings a unique element to each case. And I definitely found what he had to say here interesting, and especially when we're trying to corroborate information that we're being fed by AWP, the media, law enforcement, etc. It helps to hear other people who were there and what they saw and their opinion of how things went too. So, you know, just take it how you will, I guess. And thank you so much, Matt Bond. Did you get the videos I sent you? Was it in email, or did you send it to CDT and she'll forward me? I haven't looked. I'm very bad at emails, guys. But I will for sure, Matt. And thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate it. Okay, guys. So let's listen to what the PI has to say about what he knows about Boca. And it's funny, too, because when he's talking about this, if you heard the whole context, which we've gone through his interview that he had like on Twitter weeks and weeks ago on one of my other live streams. Okay, Matt, I'll check out my Dropbox on Instagram. And if anyone's not following me on Instagram, the link is on my home page here. And, you know, you can see me outside of YouTube. Just kidding. It's not that exciting. So he's complaining about AWP in this clip in the full context, but what he's kind of like mumbling and like giving out is interesting, because it's like, okay, if you just push aside everything else that he's like complaining about and just griping about in this, you realize that like, oh, wait a minute, this could be something. So, and again, I don't know if anyone remembers this. Let me know in chat. Sorry, guys. I always do that. I swipe my mouse pad and it like exits me from the screen. Hold on. Okay, so as I was saying, anybody watching replay, let me know your thoughts also.
Oregon.
Now let me fast forward. Sorry, guys.
At the very beginning, when she went missing, there was a tip.
Okay, so in the very beginning, when she went missing, there was a tip, and I want to know, this is what I was going to ask, and for replay people, for those who have been following this closely in the Facebook groups, do you remember this? Because I talked to Criminality, Teresa, and all my other moderators that I kind of brainstorm with, and they definitely backed up this. I don't have a screenshot of it, but early on, there was people in the Facebook group saying that they had heard through the grapevine that Kiely was seen in the Boca area Saturday morning. Do you guys remember that? I don't have a screenshot. I'll try to track it down just to bring forth that speculation and rumor, but there was talk of her possibly being seen in the Boca area on Saturday morning. Now, in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, did they see Kiely? Did they see somebody who looked like her? Or did they just see her vehicle? Okay, so you guys are remembering this. And it's been hard for me to kind of cling to these "we saw her Saturday morning" accounts because, everyone pretty much just thought party was the last place she was, or maybe she went to another place after the party, but no one has, well, at least for me, I've just now kind of been piecing up these Saturday morning stuff. Okay, so it looks like chat is remembering this. So this corroborates what that rumor of that going around was in a way. So we're going to listen to SF. He's going to, I edited out him complaining and left just the important stuff. So just listen. He just said, in the beginning, there was a tip
from Boca, from a campground of her possibly being there. And the family went out and actually, along with FBI and everything, and this happened to be in the area where that person found the shirt, which wasn't hers, but
okay, I'm gonna pause it real quick. Everyone has talked about this shirt. Everyone has been like, it's not hers, it's not hers, it's not a tank top, it's not a bodysuit, it's this, it's that. We've only heard from this guy here that it wasn't hers. Then Sammy is all like, that has not been confirmed to be hers. Remember, this was found in the Boca area that he's talking about. And we see up on the screen, and law enforcement's response is interesting to me. So let me know if you think I'm like reading into it too much, or, if it definitely should just be discredited as not hers, let me know that too. So see how it has the sheriff's response. Last known picture of Kiely from the night she went missing. This is what she was wearing the night at the party. I'm not comforted by the fact that a black tank top was found out during the search. Hopefully it's a different one. And then Placer, I can't even remember now. It's Placer sheriff tweeted back, "There was no tank top. We aren't sure what you are referring to. There's a lot of misinformation out there. Please follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram for official information." So looking at this for the first time, and when we all seen this, right, back weeks ago, because this was posted on 8/9 and they responded 8/10. So weeks ago, they're saying, we don't know what you're talking about. This tank top was not found, or there was no tank top found. Well, first off, that's kind of strange because like there clearly is a tank top or something found. However, so I'm thinking about it and I'm rereading this yesterday when CDT sent it to me, which by the way, she's going live, I think around 11. So check her out after, if you want to continue this conversation, that'll be later. So they're saying, if you want to continue this, blah. Okay, so they're pretty much saying there was no tank top found. So do you guys think that I'm just like totally off base here? But do you think that law enforcement responded saying no, when really, it's a bodysuit? Like, how we've talked about over and over that law enforcement can lie to us because they need to protect the integrity of the investigation, and that is number one priority. So sometimes there are tactics used where they're not being 100% truthful, but it's only for the best of the public, and it's only for the best of the investigation. So when they're saying like, oh, I hope this isn't Kiely's, and they say there was no tank top found, do you think that it's possible that like they are being truthful, responding back like, yeah, there was no tank top found, but actually it's a bodysuit? So really they're being truthful, but they're also lying in a way, you know what I mean? Like protecting the real information. It's not a tank top, it's a bodysuit. Allegedly with Brittany is on board with that being a possibility. I'm not saying that that's what's going on, but just rereading this and re-listening to this information, I'm starting to think like, what if this actually wasn't a tank top and it was a bodysuit, So that's their response. Could definitely be a tricky little tactic because it's a bodysuit. Yeah. So it's like a play on, not a play on words, but just being careful with their wording, you know, not to give up everything. But anyways, back to the PI's. Oh, I don't think anyone here, Ace Peck Detective, is making excuses for law enforcement at all, actually, because we've kind of been on their butts a little bit here about their mishandling of everything. Anyways, so that was my thoughts on that response about the tank top found, which could be a bodysuit. So here he's saying there was a tip that was placed in that there was a sighting of Kiely near this campground near Boca, which is the place where they found the tank top, which wasn't hers. And he's just saying that, but like he might not know everything that they know. You know what I mean? Exactly. Police can lie basically as much as they want. Exactly.
But the family actually went out with the FBI and they talked to the campground person and everything. So it wasn't like a super secret thing, and it was discredited really quick. It wasn't a super secret thing.
And hear how he said, and it was discredited. Again, he's just giving his take on everything, and I'm just listening to it like everyone is under the assumption that that was not Kiely's tank top. Everyone really is saying like, nope, wasn't hers, wasn't hers. And Sammy was really pushing that it wasn't hers. And to check out the Instagram page for updates, which the Instagram page was the page that Sammy was running. So no, I'm not going to get my information from the last person who talked to this missing girl at this point in the case, you know? So that was my little like thing I wanted to share about things kind of corroborating with Boca Lake. So now I just want to kind of get into sharing my screen and going through the roadside assistance account on AWP's video. So bear with me while I share my screen. Now, okay, yes, I've turned the playback speed down. Crap. So it's going to be a little bit slower than it's usual because I really want to listen to this guy. I really want to listen to what he saw and all that. And I think that it needs to be slowed down a little bit just to kind of soak it all in. So that's why it's going to be like at a little bit of a slower speed that you're going to hear. The first time I heard this was the day that they released this when it was for members only, and I bought a membership, and I highly suggest supporting the YouTube channels that do good, such as AWP and, you know, other ones that do, you know, search efforts and stuff like that, like EquiSearch. Duty Ron's channel goes through that too. So I have no problem supporting this channel because of what they do. Now it says add in 5 seconds. So let me just get that out of the way. So yeah, just listen to this with me. The first time I heard this, I wasn't really paying that close of attention because, and I hate to say this because I'd like to think that I'm not like that, but his story just did not fit anything I was kind of comprehending at that moment in the case. And it's taken me this whole week to kind of be like, okay, I need to let go of the fact that Kiely's last place was what Sammy says. Like, I'm not going to trust what Sammy says anymore. I think I've cross-examined her enough in my book that she's not credible or trustworthy. So now I'm like, maybe this Nick guy did see Kiely, you know, so I'm just going through this differently now. This is obviously not my first time watching this. This is like probably my 5th time. But this little segment about the roadside assistance stuff is, I think, very interesting. And I'm starting to at least include the possibility that she was, or at least her car was around Boca area. Because now we've heard the PI speak about a tip that came in early on. We seen it on Facebook circulating about a Boca tip going around. But now we're just thinking, was it really Kiely or was it somebody else with her car? So that's where I'm at this point, and I want to listen to this and break it down with you guys.
Nick, I work at an emergency roadside assistance program. I got a call up in Truckee, Boca, for a battery call. So pretty much that means that the vehicle can't start. So I went en route up there, found the vehicle. At the time, I didn't realize that this was a situation until later on. But
let me stop you right there. Yeah. You said you went to Boca.
Yes, sir.
So over near Boca Lake.
Yes, sir.
So not Prosser Lake, Prosser Creek Lake.
It's right by Prosser Creek.
Yeah, so yeah. Just north. So you went to Boca.
At first, when I went there, I realized after my test that everything was working great on the vehicle. At that point in time, I did notice that she was very hesitant.
So here's the thing. I did notice that she was very hesitant, which is strange because they're calling this guy for help. So why is she giving him these vibes of why is she being so hesitant? So right off the bat, I'm thinking something wasn't right with the female and the male who are in this CRV that appears to be Kiely's.
And very skeptical on everything that was going on.
And how do you act skeptical when you're just calling for roadside assistance? Of course you'd be kind of oh, I don't know what's going on. I've had this car for years and I can't get it to move. Of course you'd be a little bit confused at what's going on. But the way that he's saying skeptical and hesitant, it's interesting. Why would Kiely, who's the owner of the vehicle and who is the registered roadside assistance person? Okay, no problem, Craig G. I'm reading what you're saying. The person who found the article of clothing and reported it to the cops couldn't stay with it until the cops okay, the pic is what she took. She doesn't know if the cops found it. Ouch. And then we had the sheriff's office commenting saying not her tank top. Yeah, and that's the thing, allegedly, Brittany. It's at this point, we have to assume law enforcement knows. Yeah, so he has it, the full info on the vehicle just in record from being digitally dispatched. Thank you so much. I appreciate you sharing the live stream. All right.
She was asking me really weird questions, in the sense of how do you put on your seatbelt correctly. And
so, there's just be no way for somebody who graduated high school early and who is smart by all accounts for her age would be asking, how do you connect a seatbelt? You know what I mean? So that to me is another indication that this wasn't Kiely, no.
And okay, and she asked me to show her on.
And something that allegedly with Brittany J pointed out in her live stream and her panel was great yesterday. They were pointing out not only, talking about Nick's story here, but look at AWP with each other. And then she asked me to show her how to connect it. And, this, we talked about body language and what this and that means. That could be an indication of him having more stuff and holding back. And it's he's really holding back at what he knows. He's just clenching his biceps and, he's tensing up and look at Nick's face. Just complete, dumbfounded, absolutely dumbfounded, it seems. You know what I mean? Just absolutely what? And again, we're talking about the seatbelt here in this little segment. And we heard on Duty Ron, when Nick Wren was on there last week, that he just was pointing out the seatbelt hanging out the back of the cargo and he didn't notice it on his dive. Again, I feel like it could be he's not going to give out the information that he knows that could compromise the investigation. So I think it's possible that he told all of us on Duty Ron that he didn't notice the seatbelt or whatever, just to keep the investigation's integrity. And maybe that is something that's very important to the case. Again, I'm just speculating. They had the video footage of the seatbelt hanging out the trunk. So I was surprised when he said he didn't notice it, but then he did follow it up with, he didn't expect, everyone to be asking these questions and stuff, which is interesting too. And it could definitely be valid. I'm just wondering if he did notice it, like just this look with each other, like they're talking about the seatbelt. I feel like I wouldn't hold it against him if he told us on Duty Ron that he didn't notice it, just because it's part of an important piece. But again, I'm just speculating
on how to connect it to like her actual belt.
And now this is a part, and again, if you pull up mainstream media articles, etc., talking about the roadside assistance stuff, they mention the female was asking strange questions. And again, I'm not quoting it word for word, but the female was asking strange questions like how to connect a seatbelt. And everyone sort of glanced over this until we kind of went through it yesterday on Allegedly with Brittany J. And I needed to go through it because I never noticed this before. And like I said, my information that I was gathering in my head, like at this point when this video was released, didn't have roadside assistance account as fitting into my theory. So it kind of took me a minute to go back through this and reevaluate it and take it for what it is. And he's talking about the seatbelt, asking strange questions, how do you connect a seatbelt? And then he slips in to her actual belt, so it's not just this female asking him, how do you connect a seatbelt? It's also her asking him, and how would you connect it to her actual belt, to my actual belt? I just feel like it's just so strange. And it definitely was glanced over by myself because, like I said, I didn't know if this was legit. This whole account, I just didn't know what to think of it. But now that I'm seeing, they have 3,000 subscribers. They've been all over mainstream media. Like, if this was just not good information, that would be complete like chaos and just not reputable. Like, I just don't see AWP putting stuff out that isn't legit. And it took me a minute to really cling to that because I just don't know. You know what I mean? But now I'm like, this is so weird. This could actually be somebody else who is posing as Kiely. And the reason why I think that it's somebody else is because I just don't foresee Kiely asking these questions because, it's her vehicle. The neutral aspect, she would have known that it was in neutral. That's why it wasn't moving. That's her car. Just my opinion. I just feel like it's somebody else in her car at this point.
After that, she was stating on how she was there all night and she couldn't get her vehicle started due to the fact that now we both realized it was in neutral. She was wearing a sweatshirt.
So the other thing too, and I want to work through with you guys when you hear it, but he's going to say, she told me her phone was dead, which was why she used somebody else's phone to call. And for those who have roadside assistance, they have the members, everyone on members or on the membership's phone number in their database, so when you call AAA or whatever to get your roadside, they have your information. So I found it interesting that he describes this girl saying like, oh, my phone died. That's why and it's like, it could be, because we know 1233 was the last phone ping and all that from Kiely's phone. So it could be Kiely's phone and Kiely that he's talking to because, yeah, her phone was dead as far as we know. Well, it was off, But then I'm thinking like, well, maybe that was just the excuse that this caller made why the phone number that showed up wasn't one of the ones that was on the membership. You know what I mean? So a lot of people are like, no, you can't have Roadside go out there if you're not on the membership, blah, blah, blah. That's not true. Like I've been in situations with other people too, where they didn't have the AAA card or whatever, but AAA still came out there and like did what they had to do. So not every situation is going to be like, show your card and prove that you're on this account. I feel like in this situation, this roadside assistance place could have been manipulated by somebody posing as the person on the membership, because they give the excuse, my phone is dead, so that's why it's this phone number popping up to call you guys, etc. Again, I'm just theorizing.
But it looks like she has been there for quite a while.
What color was the sweatshirt?
It was a gray sweatshirt.
Gray sweatshirt. Was it dark gray or light gray?
It was light gray.
Okay.
Here's another indication, in my opinion, that it wasn't Kiely. Everything that we know about her outfit is the black bodysuit, this gray Lana Del Rey hoodie, which is dark gray, almost like a charcoal, and then the white Odd Future hoodie, which has the pink wording. This gentleman is describing the hoodie as it was light gray. So, you know, I just feel like that's just another indication that it's not Kiely. You know, this was another girl with her car, in my opinion.
Yeah. Also, there was a guy there that was with her at the time being. He was wearing a black San Francisco flat top ball cap facing forwards, brown hair that's sticking out just a little bit on the sides.
Now, again, I'm not convinced that this is Jagger either. I just want to lay that out there. I'd like to believe that his alibi has checked out. Everyone is still on my board of suspects until I see like 100% confirmation from law enforcement and all that they're not involved. But I'm really thinking that this wasn't Jagger either. Like I'm feeling like it's not Kiely, and it's a high possibility that it's not Jagger either. Again, law enforcement knows all that information. They have everyone's phone records, I'm sure, or they're working at getting all that. So that's not really, you know, something that I'm leaning towards, but I don't know. Like, I hate to go after somebody who's not involved. And apparently everyone's saying that his alibi has checked out. So I don't know. I'm curious, actually, while we're on the subject, who thinks that this is Jagger? I just want to make it clear that I'm not saying that it is, and that I'm not convinced that it is Jagger. So I'm going to leave it at a number 2 in chat if I was in chat. If you think it is Jagger, I'm open to all opinions. And of course, anyone on replay, let me know your thoughts below. If it is Jagger, press 1. If you're not convinced it's Jagger, press 2. So I'm at a 2. I'm not going to go in on Jagger here because I need more information about his whereabouts, and that's on law enforcement. So, and good morning, CDT. Good to see you.
It was kind of like they were both kind of at unease.
And I just feel like for them to be at unease, I mean, why? If it's and again, I'm just speculating. If it's not Kiely and it's a different girl posing as her, where is Kiely at this moment? This is where I'm getting really bad feelings and vibes, and just I'm at unease. You know what I mean? Like, for him, this roadside assistance guy, to say that these individuals it seemed like they were at unease. It's like, what would make somebody who's not Kiely do all this, and why would they uneasy? It's just not feeling like it's good in my book. The vibe and all that, and the scene, if we're to believe that this is all accurate, which I believe he did get a call there, so if it's Kiely, I don't know. I don't know. And I'm confused. Well, not confused, but yeah, Connie, a lot of people are saying at this point, Kiely is in the back of the vehicle. People have mentioned the perfume that Nick says that he's seen. Were they using perfume to cover up some smell? Again, this is very, very dark speculation. But where is Kiely? You know, is this Kiely? That's what this whole live stream about. Is this roadside assistance call her live speaking and being uneasy and asking, how do you connect my seatbelt? And how do you connect the seatbelt to my belt? You know, what's going on here? That's all that I'm thinking. And good morning, Alex Erickson and Ellie79. It's good to see you. And yeah, a lot of people are throwing out who they might think that the guy is. I'm seeing a lot of people not really thinking that it's Jagger. There are people who do think that, which is totally, you know, normal to think because he is the boyfriend, the ex-boyfriend. So of course he would be under the radar. That's just how it is, unfortunately, you know, and then you get your alibi checks out and you're not on our radar. But yeah, I'm feeling like it's not Jagger, but that's just my vibe at this moment. My theory always evolves and changes, and I'm sure your guys's does too. Something happened, they panicked, and that's why, Connie, I see where you're getting at. That's why they're uneasy here. So that's where I'm at with that right now.
Is what it looks like for me, like as if either they had a crazy night or a crazy day, or there's something going on I couldn't know, and at the time I didn't realize what was going on.
So he's saying it seemed like they had a crazy night or a crazy day. So what crazy could have happened? You know what I mean? It's absolutely crazy that this car is in neutral and they're calling roadside assistance too, you know? And it's like, here's the thing. If it was Kiely and she's using someone else's phone to call AAA, like, why not just call your parents at that point? Like, I know, like, you don't want to get in trouble, and obviously you missed curfew and you're out around Boca the next morning and you never made it home. So obviously that's not a good situation. But I'm just thinking, like, I'd be calling like my brother, or like, you know, sometimes you have one of the parents that you can call and talk about things, and the other parent, you know, like, don't even bother calling them. Like, I'm going to get in trouble. The fact that the parents are divorced, I would think that maybe she'd be able to call her dad and say, like, hey, like, I'm here and I can't get my car started. Like, you know, like, to me, it's just, again, I don't know what she would have done because I'm not her and I don't know her. But I just am feeling like, you know, why wouldn't you have just called your parents or something? I don't know. Again, I'm just kind of live streaming, brainstorming with you guys. So thank you for listening.
But other than that, he was, a thinner built guy is the best way I could put it, with a bro tank, and it was white bro tank. He had some freckles on his face, like, or maybe it was like acne or whatnot, but it was on both sides of his face. He was also a little bit like shorter than me, so I'm 6'3".
And okay, 6'3". A lot of people are shorter than this guy. 6'3" is pretty tall, but he's saying a little bit shorter than me. So to me, that means that this person was like 5'11" or taller, because for him, Nick, the roadside guy, to be 6'3", and he was a little bit shorter than me, that means that to me, he's still tall. That's just my opinion.
In hindsight, you're realizing all of this. When do you think that this took place? Was it before, during the day, after she disappeared?
To be honest with you, it's either right after she disappeared or right before she disappeared. But it was around noonish, like 11 o'clock in the morning, when I got out to her. During that period of time, after the period, I told her that I was going to leave, and I hope you have a great day. Vehicle, I told her to keep it running for a couple of hours.
You guys know how it is when you buy a new Mac super fast at first, and then pretty soon after it starts to slow down. That's probably because.
All right, so thank you guys for being here while we watch this ad. Sorry, guys. Please like this stream, actually. It's much appreciated.
Things working good on the vehicle, charging system wise. At that point in time, then I left, and then a week later is when I saw at a coffee shop that she was gone.
You saw this on a flyer or something?
Yeah, but then everything spiraled out of control, and I got in contact with the detective and tried to do everything I could, and yeah, and then I saw you guys.
Now.
So, and here's the thing. He claims he saw her on like a flyer or whatever in a coffee shop. Did he see her or did he see the vehicle? You know what I mean? He's not going to give us the exact 100% rundown because law enforcement has probably told him what he can and can't say, or, you know, he's being very careful in this interview anyways. And we know that this is only 10% of his interview. So in my opinion, I'm thinking, did he see just the flyer with her car on it? I think that that's a possibility. I don't know if you guys are believing that, but when he says that he, you know, put 2 and 2 together and like realized, wow, I've seen all this like the week prior, I need to call the detectives. I'm wondering if, like, you know, him being his job is car related, if it was the vehicle on that flyer that kind of caught his eye and he was like, wait a minute. And when he says things kind of spiraled out of control, like I'm wondering if that means, and again, I'm just speculating, if he's thinking like, like, oh my gosh, that's her car, but that's not the girl I saw, or you know what I mean? Like maybe something to him like went off, like this isn't adding up 100%. Like I need to call them. It's just interesting to me that he says things spiraled out of control.
We know we probably have a tie to Boca, you know, which was already on my radar. Do you know who placed the call to your roadside company?
So I can't get details. Calls don't go through me. They go through
dispatch. So you don't have. So when you were digitally dispatched, did you call them to say you were coming, or you just showed up?
I did call and nothing went through. It went straight to voicemail. Yeah.
So, you know, he called the number that is registered to the membership. It went straight to voicemail, which aligns with the fact that we know that Kiely's phone was either shut off or died at 12:33. In my opinion, it was shut off, but I don't know that 100%. But so that, you know, it seems like, oh, it could be Kiely then because he tried to call her and her phone went to voicemail. Or is it somebody else? You know what I mean? So hold on.
You know if she had a phone on her at the time?
She did say that her phone was dead.
And here's the thing. If you're posing as somebody else on this membership, you know, that could be why, like, he might have got there and said, I tried to call you and let you know that I was on my way, because AAA or, you know, roadside assistance does that. And he just said it went straight to voicemail. So he gets there and she's got an excuse for why, you know, the number that was used to call for help isn't her number, which is the number he tried to call. This girl is telling him my phone's dead. So it's just, is it really Kiely? And it's true. Her phone is dead. But here's the thing. There was chargers in the car, right? So that's another reason why I'm not thinking this is Kiely. Why would her phone be dead when it's her vehicle? We've seen chargers. Not only that, but like she could have got on her laptop and used that to communicate, like as far as going, like your messages. Everybody knows this pretty much because we've all talked about it. Things that sync up. She could have gone on her laptop, contacted anybody and been like, my phone is dead. Can you help me get roadside assistance? Or my phone is dead. You know what I mean? So her phone being dead here talking to Nick is like a huge red flag to me, because there were means for her to charge it. There were means for her to communicate where it was still her devices in a way. I just feel like that's just another clue to me that it's not Kiely, and they had an excuse for why it wasn't their phone call, for their phone number that popped up when he's trying to call them, you know? So I just feel like it's another reason why I feel like it's an imposter pretending to be Kiely just to use like the roadside assistance. And it's in neutral. I believe whatever is taking place, they're panicked. You know, they're, if these are young people, young adults involved, you know, they're young. They're not thinking clearly. They didn't realize in what sort of panic or whatever state of mind they're in that it's in neutral.
And so she used whatever guy, whoever this was, she used his phone. So that's how she did get in contact.
So here's the other thing. Law enforcement has the information on whose phone, who's this guy. They know at this point who it was. And I'm seeing people basically telling me in the same vibes, they don't think that it was Kiely. Exactly. Young people do stupid things. Good morning, Peach. So this information law enforcement has, which is very interesting, because what's being said behind closed doors, like what's being explained on why this guy, whoever he is, has his number showing up, you know, they've tracked all this information down. Why say run the car to charge if it was in neutral? Yeah, Matt Bond, I noticed that too. Like maybe he's just, I don't know. That is weird because you don't need to run the car if you end up finding out that it wasn't running just because it was in neutral. That is interesting. And thank you so much for the super chat. So I know that people do think that it's Jagger, but I'm just not really there yet, just because I go by 100% stuff when I theorize. And until I see the CCTV footage, I just don't know who it is. Or until I see the phone log that shows somebody else's phone number and it being tied to Jagger. I mean, it's definitely a possibility that it is Jagger, but strange. And hello, Honeybee. The picture of, okay, and that's the thing, Peach. See, I think her phone was off because it was in the water for a while and finally turned off, but I could be wrong. That's the thing, is like, where is her phone right now? Did they find it before they found her? Like, was it thrown in the water and ditched? Was it in the car, you know, which indicates that it looks more like, okay, yeah, it was an accident and her phone's right here. Like, where is the phone? Huge question in the case, because that is a direct link to something being amiss if the phone wasn't with her, or if they found the phone somewhere else, or if they still haven't found the phone. I definitely think that it could have been waterlogged and shut down because of the water. I definitely think that's a possibility. Here's my thing though, like, then they would have had to ditch the phone already before ditching the car, because this roadside assistance call is taking place after 12:33 midnight. So this is Saturday morning. Is the phone in the water at this point? And this is her car, and this is people posing as them, you know what I mean? So this whole she drove into the lake because she was drunk scenario, to me, doesn't add up if we think that this roadside assistance call was Kiely's car at the very least. Even if it's not Kiely, it could be her car, which means everything's screwed up in the timeline. You know, she didn't drive into the lake at night then, if this is her car. So it's just, oh my gosh, it really is like a twist and turn in this case that is just very hard for me to comprehend, because I'm like, where's the phone? Where's Kiely at this moment? Yeah, C-Dub says, I think they have the phone now, but just my opinion. And earlier in the case, weeks ago, it might be on my community page, but I had noticed that law enforcement, before they found her, said something about, we still want to know where Kiely and her vehicle are. We're still searching for Kiely in her vehicle. They didn't list phone when they made that statement. And I kind of read into it like I always do, and thinking, okay, so did they find her phone and they're not looking for the phone anymore? Or was that just to be assumed that it was in the car and they were saying we're still looking for her in her car? I don't know.
What was you mentioned like she was asking funny questions and acting weird.
Granted, I at the
Acting weird. Why would Kiely be acting weird at this point if it's Kiely?
time I didn't realize again that
Yeah. I mean, I've been in the towing industry my whole life, so you see a lot of crazy stuff, a lot of weird stuff, and it's actually pretty normal. You know, so I can see why at the time it's just a normal call.
She kept on going over that, like how do you like, you know, secure your seatbelt like firmly and like do it correctly, and that's
when she was asking this, was the guy that she was with right there too?
He was on the opposite side of the car,
so he could hear the conversation as well.
Every single time the guy would come over to us, she would go on to the other side, and it was just like a back and forth, like a tag team, better to say, like one.
So this little scenario, and that's fair, Peach. A lot of people are up in the air about if they feel this is credible. We're just pretending today that it is. So only because like I've gone down the road of being like, this isn't credible, or I don't know what to believe here. I'm not even going to bother crossing my mind on it. But now I'm to the point in my theories and my like working through the case where I'm like, I need to consider that this is accurate, even on the level of it's not Kiely, it's somebody else, but it was her car. So that's sort of like, obviously I'm still under the assumption that people can lie. And I know that for whatever reason they will lie. But I mean, at this point, this guy is on a channel that has 3 million subscribers, and this is blown up all over the place. Like, would he really go to the extent to ruin his own life? Because he's going to be like, if this comes out to be like, oh, wow, you just wanted attention. I mean, his life is ruined at this point, I feel. That's where I'm at as far as feeling like, is this legit or not? Like, why would he set himself up to be scrutinized in a way for being a liar? I just don't know if this Nick guy would do that. So today I'm just going to pretend in my theories and putting possibilities on my board that this is true, that he did see something. But the people moving, the girl and the guy going on either side of the car, what do you guys think that means? Like, do you think that here's my theory on it. There's something that they don't want to be seen. And they're both kind of like blocking it, or like getting in a position where something is always kind of being hidden. Is it because she's in the back at this moment? Again, theorizing. Or is it something else? And yeah, Scott, if they're fighting, you know, what is causing a little bit of tension for those two at that moment? You know, like what took place where they're in a mode where like, I don't want to be near you. I don't know. It's just hiding something, or in fear they will be caught. That's what Brookie says. And I totally think that too. Like, if they kept, when one would come up here, the other one would go there. It's like they're always constantly like guarding something, you know, or covering up something. So this girl asking him to come up or to show her how to do the seatbelt firmly, and really like honing in on like, how do you connect the seatbelt? You know, did this person want his prints on everything? You know, like, I just don't know. It's all a possibility. I think it's a lot of speculation, but you know, everything needs to be combed through, and this is a death investigation, and we can't have this be labeled as a cause and manner that it's not. Pretty much, like, we can't have this be labeled as an accident if it's not, you know. So that's why we're kind of going through this stuff very like with a fine-tooth comb. Like, we want there to be justice in this case, and we want it to be transparent to the public, and law enforcement has not given us confidence at all in this case thus far. So I feel like it is important for us to kind of keep on this stuff until they give us a cause and manner, or explain to us what exactly happened. And once they can prove that, and once we feel they've done a thorough investigation, you know, then obviously the case is closed and it's over. But there's nothing wrong with keeping pressure on law enforcement and keeping checks and balances as the public taxpayers to these authority entities for law enforcement, because they work for us. They're supposed to protect us. They're supposed to do things thoroughly. We feel like already that the crime scene or the death scene was being handled in a manner that was just disrespectful. Her belongings, private information on that laptop, it was just treated like they didn't care. So we're not going to give up on discussing everything until we figure out, what happened. So I don't know anything about Nick Roadside Assistant's background, Alejandra, but that's interesting. I don't know. We only know his first name.
One person would come over, she wouldn't stay near him, and then they would go vice versa. Or if we were at the front of the car going about the battery and talking about the battery, he was always on one side, she was on another. They were never close to each other.
She was uncomfortable. Yeah, because that screams awkwardness and someone being uncomfortable. And when in that scenario, if he was there with her, he should have been right next to her. If not, dealing with you the entire time
And that's where I kind of was like, this is strange, because, as somebody who's had to call AAA before, there's been times where I was with a boyfriend or whatever, and they, even though it was my account for AAA, they're dealing with the roadside person. I'm not saying that every situation's that way, and I'm not saying that every guy would take the lead that way, but it seems like Doug, in his experience with towing and all that, he's thinking like he should have been the one dealing with you the entire time, not her. So I think, if it was Jagger, wouldn't Jagger know, if he drove her vehicle before, if it was in neutral or not? So that's why it's not moving forward. It's hard to say, but, why exactly is this uncomfortable vibe going on? We can only speculate on. Is it that she's uncomfortable with the guy, or is it just some scenario situation that they're in, and it's just like obviously some uncomfortable, like uneasy vibe?
Not her. Did she seem high or intoxicated, or?
I thought that maybe she was either hungover or just had a really rough day. She
looked distressed. That is a phrase in itself, she looked hungover. We heard Sammy herself say that she was highly inebriated, and so that could align with it being Sammy. Again, we're just speculating. And we've talked about this in other cases too. A lot of times alcohol is involved in a murder. Like, it's just statistically, a lot of people who end up murdering somebody was drunk. It just kind of goes hand in hand. You can look up the statistics. There's like a high percentage of crimes that take place, including murder, where alcohol is a direct link. And, we're all adults here. I think we've all been in a situation. Well, I don't want to speak for everybody, but, I've been in situations where I drank too much and people tell me the next day, like, yeah. And then again, this is when I'm like super young, before my child and all that. But, we're not ignorant to the fact that people do black out, so that to me is always a possibility. And whatever happened to Kiely, I'm like, was somebody black out? You know what I mean? Again, it's a possibility. I'm not saying that that's my theory, but it's just statistically proven that alcohol and murder kind of go hand in hand, sadly.
stressed.
Can you show me on the map where you saw her?
Absolutely.
All right, so we're here in Reno. Let's go down to Truckee. There's Prosser, there's Boca. Just drop a pin on the road exactly where you saw her.
Well, we're at the right place, right? Boca, you come in, you follow this road down. I think that is a turnout right there. Yeah, this is it. And so right there, how she was coming out this way,
So
and out of
her front end was facing 894.
yeah.
All right. And did you leave before her? Or did she leave before you?
I left before her.
Was there anybody else around?
There was people far back here, yes, but not near her. No.
Did you notice anything in particular in her car at all?
I mean, besides perfume bottles and like, yeah, actually there was a perfume bottle that was in the center console, and that was all that I recall, to be honest.
Did she have?
So, and here's the thing that CDT brought up, and I'm wondering if anyone knows. Did they ever find, did anyone see this perfume bottle like get taken into evidence, or with the car flipped over? Did anyone see that?
Have anything on her keys at all?
I don't remember.
Did you say that you guys have cameras that could possibly get some sort of facial recognition on?
Yeah, so we do indeed. We have cameras facing front and rear of our vehicles, as well as that we do have like audio, so we can pick up audio from inside and outside of the truck. So we did have that, and I'm guaranteed. I mean, my vehicle is facing directly towards hers, so and that's how I normally do it for my protection.
So, like we've said before, law enforcement knows exactly who's on this footage at this point. The silence in this case, in my opinion, although like people think that they're not saying anything, that means that it's suspicious circumstances. I don't know if I believe that 100%. Like, I do think a good portion of me feels like, yeah, there is silence because, it could be more to this. But at the same time, this is a death investigation. It would be very foolish for them to come to conclusion and speak out without knowing 100%. So, while we do have to wait for November 1st, it did seem like things are rapidly moving behind the scenes, in my opinion. I seen somebody say something was interesting in chat. The way Doug and Nick look at each other after the seatbelt comment makes me think they filmed this interview after they found her. Oh, definitely a possibility. Yeah, I didn't even think about the timeline of all that for them. Yeah. Trust me, the way that he looked at her, or the way that they looked at each other when he's mentioning her talking about the seatbelt, was definitely noteworthy. Matt Bond said, "What's heat like there? Perfume bottles explode here." Oh, I've had perfume in my car on very hot days that never exploded. That's interesting. And thank you again for the super chat. Hopefully. Sorry, I'm just looking through chat. Can I replay that part Mrs. Italy D wants me to do? What part? I'm sorry. I will definitely go back.
What's the window you're giving us of when this happened?
Either Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, I believe. Because the weekends I usually cover Truckee, so, and that Friday I also worked in Truckee, so, yeah.
If you were to make a bet on what day it was, what would you say?
When I was looking back under my GPS, under my phone and where I've been, I was there both Saturday and Sunday, farther into Boca.
Everything you just heard unfolded right here where I'm standing. talking about where Nick described him parking his service van when he.
Okay, and just going back to the PI's account, remember he said in the beginning, we played earlier in the stream for those who just joined, he said in the beginning when she went missing, there was a tip from a campground in Boca that they had seen her. So that corroborates with Nick, you know, and that PI interview came out, I want to say before the AWP video. So the PI is talking about this tip at Boca at that they talked to a campground over and they found that tank top, etc. And then Nick, the tow truck guy, is saying like, "Yep, this is where I was." So that corroborates. I'm just looking at the baby monitor. I really got to speed through this last bit. She's okay right now, but I got to get to all that. She's laying back down. She's so tired. Anyways, keep her, my little 20-month-old in your guys' thoughts and prayers today. She's just not feeling good this week, but it looks like she's laying back down. Either way, guys, that is what I wanted to go through with the tow truck information. While I pull up my screen with the other stuff I want to talk about, I'm curious where you guys are at. Like, do you think that that is Kiely? Press 1 if you think Nick, the roadside assistance guy, saw Kiely. Press 2 if you think it's somebody else. And also, I'm curious.
Sending divers in the water right now, which.
Yeah, this is the other part I kind of want to talk about with you guys before we end. A lot of people are saying it's not Kiely. It definitely could be one of the friends. I'm seeing the names thrown out in chat, and I won't name all the friends out loud, but yeah, I mean, her friends who have blonde hair, it could be her, could be them. All right, guys. Okay, so this is why I have to put my live streams on subscriber mode only, because I just don't want people coming in here and trolling. You know what I mean? So to this person, this is what I have.
Alrighty then.
So that's what I have to say to that person. And if the mods could just hide them from chat, that'd be great. We're not trying to have bad vibes in here. And you know what? I put a little disclaimer in my description box just for situations like that. And for those who have followed my channel for a while, know that this isn't the first death investigation that I've spoken about. I covered the Kurt Cobain death investigation and went through all that information. And, you know, I believe that that case was handled in a way that we don't want this case to be handled. That case was handled.
Family.
Sorry, that case was handled in a way that we don't want this to go, like the direction. They labeled that cause and manner for that case as one way, and 30 plus years later, people are arguing that manner of death, and they're saying that that's not how things went down. Like, we don't want to be in a situation like that for this case. And just in the description box, I kind of added this. I said, I believe wholeheartedly that discussing these ongoing cases puts pressure on law enforcement, and having a microscope on the officials and the investigations they work on, even death investigations, helps bring honest police work forward because they're under an extreme microscope. So what I mean by that is, you know, all of us are watching this case closely. We've been following it since she was a missing person. A lot of missing person cases that we do follow in true crime, we never get results for. So now we're in a situation where we've recognized that they are working behind the scenes and they are going to determine a cause and manner of death. And hopefully by us keeping on the case and going through these stuff like the way we are, puts a little bit of pressure on law enforcement, and, hopefully they come forward with a real accurate investigation that produces the cause and manner that makes sense, because there's just a lot of stuff that's just not really adding up in this case, and people who are eyewitnesses are saying the same thing. Yo Main Girl said, what do you think about Ryan Upchurch's coverage? First off, thank you so much for the super chat. What do I think? Honestly, I listen to everybody and anybody following a case that I'm following, because I believe thinking outside the box and going with other people's theories is a productive way to kind of brainstorm and make sense of something. There's been numerous cases where people come out with theories on stuff that I don't agree with, but I'll listen because, that just helps me think outside of my own way of thinking. So what do I think about his? I think that everyone has their own opinion and everyone should be allowed to express their own opinions. And what the beauty about YouTube is, you have your own channel, you can cover what you want on your channel, and you as the subscribers have the ability to subscribe and watch the channels that you want. So he's in his own lane, I'm in my own lane, everyone else should stay in their own lane. And I just feel like we all want answers. So while I haven't watched every single video of his very closely, I've seen everything from everyone, and including the PI that we talk about here, including this clip that the PI did on the Glarers channel, which I'll link in the description box. Again, another channel that I don't agree on with a lot of his opinions, like when it comes to cases. And, he's been on YouTube a little bit longer than I have. So, there's been cases that we both kind of comment on and we don't agree, but, he had SF Investigates on here and I found the information interesting. So yeah, I went to the channel and I listened to it. I'll link it in the description box. And honestly, I just feel like true crime really needs to just unite and
sending divers in
stop going against each other. I just feel like it's just not productive. And I definitely do not agree with other creators bashing the way other creators decide to do their work. I mean, unless there is harm that is being done by a creator by speaking about something, that's a different story. I'm not talking about that. But sorry, it's such a long answer to your question, but it kind of plays into what I'm about to play here, because the PI spoke on the Glarers channel, and they talked about his eyewitness account of the recovery process. And we know for a fact that this PI was there. So that's why I'm going to source him, and that's why I'm referencing this. I just feel like, they were making fun of the true crime community. That's fine. That's their prerogative. If they want to do that, then, I mean, I didn't see it myself, but that is what it is, I can't answer if I feel like there is harm with people's theories, because I just can't focus on that. I'm just trying to focus on what happened to Kiely, and that's where my research and energy goes to. If people are harming things and other people by covering this stuff, then, that's their karma, and that's what they're bringing back to them in a way, because everything you put out there, I believe, comes back to you. So people who want to go out there and say blah, 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 blah about people, then that bad energy will come back to them. And that's their problem, not mine. You know what I mean? And good morning, Punksy. So again, I'm not saying I believed everything that this PI was saying, but this part was very interesting to me, because he was there. He was at the recovery process. He's seen what he's seen. Everyone sees things differently, though, so everyone's perspective is differently. But I feel like this little segment here was worth sharing with you guys, and I want to get your opinion on it, because again, this guy is talking about, the context of the conversation was one way, but the information that he kind of slips out, and I was like, wait, what? So let me play this and Hello, Robert Ryan. I hope you're doing well, and I hope your dad's doing well too. Dad is off the vent, but got a tough road. Oh my gosh. Well, we're all here for support for you and everything you're going through, and sending good thoughts and prayers to your dad's quick recovery. I wish we could fully trust his PI, but I will still listen. I agree. Like, I feel like he must have some information that's interesting, which is why I listened. But like I said, I feel like we're all kind of pretty much unsure about him. But this one part, the thing is, like, when he talks about certain things, the things that come out isn't like what he's like focusing on talking about. Do you know what I mean? Like, he'll be talking about one context, but he'll say something that's like interesting, like, but that wasn't his real point that he was trying to make. Do you know what I mean? So this is another example of like him talking about something. And I think it had to do with AWP, but I'm not 100%. You can watch the whole interview. I'll link it in the description box. But so he's referring to something, and then he says he's talking about the recovery process. And I caught it, and I wanted to play with you guys and let me know what you think.
The water right now, which they did, and they're going to fully video everything before we touch the car, before we lay a finger on the car. We're going to video everything we can. And, they had like selfie sticks, like, to put in the car and stuff. So then they came out and they said, okay, so our plan is that we're going to drag the car out on the roof just to the point where we can get Kiely out. We'll remove her, and then we'll pull the rest of the car out. Then about 30 minutes later, then the FBI crime lab truck, the black trailer, showed up. It came in from San Francisco. And so then about 30 minutes later, they came to us and they said, okay, there's been a change. They're like, the FBI wants the car rolled in the water because they're afraid of that roof collapsing, and they want to leave Kiely in there for now.
Okay, so they're talking about how they were at the recovery process and they were going to pull out her, in the vehicle on the roof. And then he just says FBI crime lab showed up. They came in from San Francisco, I think he said. And they said, no, the roof is going to collapse, possibly flip it underwater. So when I heard this, I was like, if that's their reasoning, I just am like, really? Like, their whole objective at this point as law enforcement and all that, you need to protect the evidence. And obviously, keep people safe too. My thing is, like, this is a compact SUV. It wasn't in the water long enough for it to lose like metal integrity and structure. And guys, I want to know your opinion, because that's why I clipped this. And I know that we have really smart people in chat and commenting down below who, definitely will put a bigger perspective on me, because I like to work things out with you guys. Do you believe that Kiely's vehicle would have been at risk of collapsing if they pulled it out on the roof? Because I heard this, and again, I'm not saying that SF Investigates is the end all be all to truth, but he's not even really focusing on that aspect when he's talking about this. He's talking about, like, you can listen to the whole context in the interview. So when I heard this, I was like, if that's what the FBI was for sure worried about, then I just don't think that roof would have collapsed.
For evidentiary reasons.
And, comment in chat right now. Do you believe, like, press 1 if you think that the roof would collapse, press 2 if you're like, no, absolutely not. And remember, this isn't a vehicle that's been sitting in water and for years at a time. Salt water, it's not salt water. It's not rusting. It's not getting to the point where, like, oh, wow, like, I really don't know. And if it would collapse, that would 100% be at risk of ruining the body. It's already in rough shape for its exam. If the roof collapsed, that would be horrible, because now we don't know if this damage to the body was from this or that, or, you know, you have to keep it intact. So while I'm trying to keep an open mind, I'm just like, I'm not 100% like on board with FBI really being worried about that. Like, was that really a worry? Like, honestly, in my opinion, I just feel like they wanted to do the easiest way. Obviously they wanted to protect, you know, viewers and media from peeking in. Like, they didn't want that to happen. I get that. I almost feel like it would have been harder for media to be looking in anyways with it on its roof being pulled out. So I don't get, you know, so I don't know, guys. I'm really seeing a lot of people saying they're not thinking that it was at risk of collapsing. Yes, thank you, Brookie. Yeah, let's be respectful. Like I said, I know you all don't like the same channels. I know you all don't like the same people involved, and I'm not putting faith in 100% in anybody that you guys are thinking about is not trustworthy. I totally get it. But like I said, this guy was on scene. His eyewitness account is interesting, so I did want to play this. Let me finish the rest of it. It's not really as interesting. The main point I wanted to ask you guys is if you thought that it was in fact at risk of collapsing, or did they just want the easiest route, treat it like it was an accident? I mean, like the Kurt Cobain case, they treated that death scene as if it was 100%. He unalived himself. Here's the gun, you know, and now 30 something years later, people aren't believing the cause and manner for that case. So I'm saying, was this scene treated like an accident, just like that Kurt Cobain case was treated in one manner? So I'm just curious, like, do you guys, I don't know. I just am under the impression that this was all just done to be easier. Yeah, Connie, I agree. They wanted easier way. It's just, yeah, I know that case. And that's the thing is like cases in law enforcement, back when Cobain's case was being handled, we didn't have social media. So that's the beauty of social media nowadays, that we can put all this out there and we can question these public officials the way we want. Yeah, it's just unfortunate.
So that's why they did that decision. And then they were up against a time clock because it was getting dark, right? And again, if this had been called in at noon, they would have had more time to, you know, I think that they had to kind of work a little quicker pace than they wanted to get the car to the water line, because it was, you know, but I still think it's really sloppy work that all that shit was left there, because they had trailing divers following the car. And, you know, I don't know how they didn't see that, all that stuff. And there was more stuff recovered today by different divers. That was for,
right.
like,
So they did actually, they did actually send law enforcement actually did send divers in after the fact, and just didn't find anything. And then a YouTuber goes in there and then finds the laptop.
Yeah. So if you see when they recover, like, you know, and keep in mind, like, I mean, this is just from what I've seen after, but I could see it from the shore. Or I mean, I was at the, you know, when they were pulling it out, but you know, you could see the dive boat, or the dive boat, kind of like following behind the car. Well, if you notice, there's two divers in the water in front of the boat too. They're kind of like making sure that the thing stays on course. I don't know, but I would think that they would have had eyes in the water, or noticing stuff like that, because that was a lot of stuff. And apparently the diver that called me last night that found more, that went down with tanks, and this is a private individual, not law enforcement, they said there's a lot more stuff that's actually where the car originally was. So, you know, that's sloppy. That is on law. You know, and that turns it into this circus.
So yeah, I was just going to type in chat that, because people are still going on about not believing him. Regardless of how your feelings are about him, he was an eyewitness on the scene. So that's what I'm bouncing off of. So good morning, Lisa. It's good to see you. So let me just read through some of these comments talking about what we were just discussing. I don't believe the roof would have collapsed. I think they treated it as an accident instead of foul play. I truly hope that they took photos of everything. it was treated like an accident, but also I think Kiely was taken out before they took the car out, in my opinion. Could be. I went through the removal video again that media put up there, and I don't know. We could look through that again, though. If they had treated as an investigation, then they would have scored that lake floor, in my opinion. Yeah, it should have been. To be honest, there shouldn't have been a rush. This is a human being's body and possessions being covered. It could have been handled better. I agree. And like the fact that the media has that helicopter view going around and around, we watched the whole process and it didn't take them that long, so it's like, it did seem like it was like, let's just do this. It's easy and we'll be on our way. Leaving all the possessions and items at the bottom, so disrespectful. I hope they at least took photographs of the car and what they could have, the inside while it was still underwater. Yeah, I totally agree. What I do also remember Nick saying is, that's fair. Okay. I mean, everyone's opinion is welcome. Let's just stick to some brainstorming and all that. But crap, what was I gonna say? Sorry guys. But CHP had no footage. California Highway Patrol didn't have cameras in the park. Yeah, I'm worried about a lot of negligence being done. People are still saying the roof wouldn't have collapsed at all. Yeah, I agree. And you know what? It doesn't make sense for them to be worried about the roof collapsing while they still treated the car like crap. We see the windshield's got some spider, looks like it broke a little bit in the process, possibly. We see the driver's side window was broken in the process. The mirror on the side was broken. I mean, it wasn't treated like delicately in any means, it seems, I don't know. I don't understand that. And hello, Seagate. I meant they as in law enforcement for the comment on the screen. Okay, hold on. Let me see. I hope law enforcement did as well. I'm just worried about the corruption in the case at this point. Yes. Sorry, I'm behind in chat, guys. But again, thank you guys so much for being here. She went back to sleep. So I'm not in a position where I got to scoot off like I thought. But I mean, I don't know what else there really is to say. Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to say. Remember when I forgot? Now I remembered. Nick Wren, AWP, said that he's seen something that looked like a blanket or clothing floating around under there. So if we're going to go back to the whole roadside assistant thing, was that blanket that Nick saw used to cover up Kiely in the back, and it's somebody else and it's another girl and it's not Kiely, like talking to Nick, the roadside assistance guy. So we have that kind of corroborating, like if he in fact did see a blanket floating around under there. I think that that's a possibility. I'm not saying that that's what happened. Also, there was something else. But this on the screen is just old stuff from early in the case. CDT is going through a really thorough. Now I sound like Sammy talking about the dive team. CDT is going through a very thorough deep dive today. So we will be joining her in chat over there, and I hope you guys will too. But she and I obviously brainstormed, and she showed me this, and we were going through it. And what stood out to me, and for those who know that I broke down a little bit of Sammy's interviews prior streams, that she, her body language, in my opinion, shows signs of her being under stress, like when she's discussing things. And the stress could be she's lying. I'm not saying she is, but I'm just saying it appears like her mannerisms are conveying, she's feeling a little bit stressed in some of these media interviews, particularly the one that she did on YouTube. So we were just going through, and if I'm going to rip into her statements like I did in the body language video that we did earlier this week, then, I'm just going to continue doing that with her statements that she gave the media, even in written interviews. And I just thought that this was noteworthy because of just this, just the words, not necessarily what she's saying, because I know you guys have seen this, and I know, okay, Alex, thank you so much for being here. Thank you. I really appreciate your support, and everyone go over to Alex Erickson's channel if you like true crime. She's got really good discussions there as well. So she was telling her mom she was going to be the designated driver because that's how she was going out to the party, given an alibi so that her mom didn't freak out and say, "I want you home earlier," Sammy Smith told U.S. Sun. So I'm not really looking into so much what she's saying here, although I don't like that she's kind of throwing Kiely under the bus in a way, like pretty much saying that she was lying to her mom. What I'm focusing on is her words that she decides to use when she's describing, what she was saying and doing as far as being the designated driver. Giving an alibi. To me, I feel like those words to use are very strange. It makes me feel like giving an alibi was on Sammy's mind subconsciously, possibly, or she's in the mode of, I don't know. I'm sure you guys are understanding what I'm getting at. It doesn't so much have anything to do with Kiely being called the designated driver. What I'm looking at is the fact that she says she was going to be the designated driver because that's how she was going out to the party, given an alibi so that her mom didn't freak out and say, "I want you home earlier." I just think that her talking about giving an alibi, even though it's referring to Kiely and this little scenario with her mom, I feel like it's weird for her to be using that lingo. It could mean maybe alibis or something that's on Sammy's mind at this point, wanting to cover and make sure she, dots her I's and crosses her T's. But here she's describing Kiely and, some situation where, she's pretty much speaking for Kiely and what Kiely's plans were with what she was saying to her mom. Why did she use given an alibi? Like, she could have just said designated driver because that's how she was going out to the party, to help convince her mom to let her go or something like that. You know what I mean? Or to explain to her mom why she needed to be there. The sun, like, on my face is really bothering me. Sorry, guys. I'm usually in my office also. I wanted to say that for those who are new to my channel. Like, I have a whole office set up, but obviously if I do morning live streams, the office is next to the baby's room, so I come down here. But sorry about that, guys. I'm pretty much done with the live stream though, so I don't know what you guys are thinking, but it does seem like you guys are understanding where I'm getting at with her using this phrase here. I just think it's very weird. That's all. Like, it's just, it could be nothing, but using the word alibi is sus. I agree. Yeah, C-Dub, definitely a possibility. A lot of people are talking about that. Linda thinks it could be a Freudian slip, given an alibi. Yeah. And thank you so much for all the support, guys. It's definitely a possibility, Scotty Skulls, for sure. We've studied other cases where the females have admittedly been diagnosed with that personality disorder, and Sammy reminds me so much of them. And again, I'm not a doctor. I can't diagnose her, but I just think there's something off with her, which is why I titled my last live stream, just something about Sammy, you know. What I want to conclude today with is press 1 if you think roadside assistance guy saw Sammy, or I mean, Kiely. Let's go with Kiely, because I'm not saying that it was Sammy or that it was Kate, but I'm under the impression that it's possible, and my vibe is it wasn't Kiely. That's where I'm at right now. Press 1 if you think it was Kiely. Press 2 if you think it wasn't Kiely. Press 1 if you think it's Jagger. Press 2 if you think it's not Jagger. Again, I think that it's interesting in one of the interviews that Sammy gives, she mentions people who were at the party, and she was saying something about people in the vacation homes. Maybe they wanted to party just because. So I'm thinking, like, was this like a guy that was from the vacation homes that was with this girl at the roadside assistance call? I think it's possible that it could be, you know, anybody at this point. You know, without seeing the footage, how can we know for sure? And law enforcement obviously knows. But the other thing I wanted to ask you guys is if you think, again, for those who didn't vote before, do you think that the car was at risk of collapsing? Press 1 if you think the car is at risk. Press 2 if it's not at risk. And Honeybee, it's totally fine to be unsure. There's just a lot of stuff that's up in the air at this point, you know, so we're just kind of closing in on the possibilities. And I think that, you know, it's fair to be open and change your theories around. Hi, John. It's good to see you. And thank you guys so much for all your kind words in chat. I'm seeing you guys are liked the live stream, so I just really appreciate it. Again, I'm going to link in the description box the sources that we used today, including the article and all that. So yeah, I wanted to play another little video clip, but I don't know how to like squeeze it in right now. But I'm thinking that, do you guys like The Office? I know it's like an older show, but I'm so in love with The Office, and as well as Jim Carrey, since I used that Ace Ventura little segment when the troll came in. I love this little segment from The Office because it just pertains to me going through these cases so much. Like, I'm just happy that you guys went through this roadside assistance information with me, because it was sort of making my brain explode when I was kind of grasping everything that he's saying, and that how it could possibly be somebody else and not Kiely, which would be so crazy and obviously scream foul play. But I want to just use this little video thing because it kind of plays into, you know, when I go on these live streams and I want to interact with you guys and people on replay, this is basically just how I'm feeling.
Why don't you explain this to me like I'm 5?
So that's all I had to say is, like, when we go through this stuff together, I really like chat to explain things to me, like, very, you know, meticulously and all that, because it really was like a wrench thrown in our case of this when, you know, we have to consider, was that Kiely? I do think that there was Boca sightings that morning, but I'm thinking that it wasn't Kiely that they were specifically citing, but it was her vehicle. So I'm under the impression that somebody else was in her vehicle at this point, and it's not Kiely. They're impersonating her. But that, again, is just my theory, and it's just the current theory. Hopefully, I can work through all this with you guys more in future live streams. And good, I'm glad you guys like The Office. And yeah, I've seen that it started out as a show in the UK, and that is just so interesting to me too, because the show is hilarious. But yeah, I like things to be explained to me like I'm 5.
Why don't you explain this to me like I'm 5?
Which, on that note, I will say you guys should watch Duty Ron's video that he did last night, talking about the forensics that could be pulled off of the phone and the laptop that was found. That whole thing, I was like, it was explained really well, and it was very interesting. So I will see you guys over in CDT's chat, and we're just going to go through stuff there. And yeah, thank you so much, and I will see you guys soon.